Inspiration can come from anywhere, whether it's something as grand as the galaxy or as small as a grasshopper. One person can have multiple inspirations, and then when you start to have a whole team or an entire production crew, then that vision or focus will start to stray from the original inspiration. Sometimes a big change in the middle of a show can be a good thing. Other times you start to wonder, why? Wasn't there a plan from the start? What happened? If a show has huge changes, there will always be someone who enjoys the entire package, regardless of flaws and all. Of course, no show is perfect. A 10 out of 10 season will still have some kind of blemish, though everything is subjective. What someone feels is a 5-star Kamen Rider season, someone else will think is the worst in the franchise, and vice versa. One season's imperfections can be a fun talking point, or a reason to stop watching. I've said this so many times, and now will be the only time I say it in this video. In fact, this is the season why I say it. Your opinion matters more than mine. What I think about a show shouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Watch a show and either enjoy it or don't. You can enjoy certain aspects of the season, but not the entire product. You can love a season at a surface level, but acknowledge that it's not for everyone. You can dislike a season and not have to shout it to the world. The same goes the other way around. With how big the Kamen Rider franchise has gotten, you have to expect some duds, right? As I've said earlier, everything is subjective, but there might be something we can all generally agree upon. Over 50 years of this franchise, phenomenal on-screen action, fantastic stories told, hundreds of characters to fall in love with. Even the seasons and movies that aren't generally favored have something to enjoy. So I have to ask, where's the standard drawn? Is the bottom line low enough for a show to be considered bad? Maybe a lot of fan reaction is overblown, and some aspects really aren't as bad as others remember. Here's a phrase I like to say: there are no bad Kamen Rider seasons. And to be more general, all toku is good. To which some would immediately race to the comment section and write what they dislike. Then I also have to ask, how is a season bad? Is it just one aspect that's overblown? Is the writing from a 100-hour show consistently down? Is it because one person said they don't like it and others hop onto a bandwagon? More importantly, what does all this have to do with the video topic? Where does my opening of inspiration come in? Why all the questions? Let's start with TV ratings versus general opinion. Kamen Rider ratings have been going down ever since the beginning of the Heisei era, but with the rise of streaming and new fans discovering these shows, maybe those ratings shouldn't matter today. If anything, toy sales are arguably more important for the franchise to continue since the toys are what push the shows forward. Kamen Rider Drive's toy sales were mediocre compared to other shows, but here we are with another season, and from what I've seen, Drive is very well loved despite low toy and TV ratings. Then comes along Kamen Rider Ghost. Our very first images came from this extremely low quality scan, and of course, that brought the hype. Then we got rumors of Ghost himself appearing in Kamen Rider Drive's summer movie. It turns out those rumors were true, although fans outside of Japan had to wait a while to see him in action since the movie was only in Japanese theaters. Only in Japan, only in Japan. Except, we got a surprise as Ghost was set to appear in Drive's final episode. Plus, we got a taste of how this season was gonna be, as this episode was written by Nobuhiro Mori, a secondary writer for Ghost. Yes, the hype was crazy. These early looks at Ghost can only bring high hopes. And then, there was one more thing. About a month before Ghost premiered, Toei released a special preview video on their YouTube channel. It showcased aliens? Dancing? Either way, it looked really friggin' cool. I'll never forget the music and the first time I heard the gimmick announcements. Even the directing was great, all thanks to Kami Horiyuchi Kazuya, this being his first writer project and then going on to continue directing for future writer seasons. Plus, Shinichiro Shirakura tweeted how he liked the directing. We also got to see the face behind Ghost, played by Shun Nishime. This is one of my favorite videos to come out of the franchise. It looks cool, the crowd cheering on Ghost is amazing, and the ambiguous ending giving us a mystery of what's to come. It's all so great. Okay, so I should mention that this show is focused around spirits and ghostly themes, so death will be mentioned, as well as references to other aspects surrounding it. Please keep that in mind if you're not comfortable with those topics. Okay? Okay. On October 4th, 2015, Kamen Rider Ghost debuts with episode 1, Kaigan Ore, translating to Eyes Open, It's Me. We're introduced to Tenkuji Takeru, who dreams of his dad and a sword guard he used as a necklace. Takeru lives in a temple, which is also home to the head monk Onari and 2 other monks that I'm never gonna bring up. Today is Takeru's birthday, and his childhood friend Akari comes over to visit, but Takeru is too busy reading a book about historical figures. He's more interested in having his life burn bright, much like Miyamoto Musashi. 2 monsters wreak havoc in the city, appearing as strange circumstances through the news. Onari believes these occurrences can be explained by ghosts, but Akari is a woman of science and thinks that there are more logical explanations. A package is delivered from Tenkuji Ryu, a former ghost hunter, and Takeru's father. Inside the package is a blank ball. With it, Takeru is able to see ghosts, and unfortunately, the ghosts want to take the gift even if it means killing our protagonist. Takeru wakes up near a waterfall and sees an older man named Sennin. Onari and Akari cry over Takeru's lifeless body, and he wishes he had the power to fight the ghosts off. Luckily, Sennin bestows Takeru with a ghost driver and a ghostly companion, Yurisen, who I'm also never going to bring up. The white ball that Takeru was given as a present is called an Eyecon. They contain the souls of historic figures, and collecting 15 of them can bring Takeru back to life. Now back on Earth, Takeru transforms into Kamen Rider Ghost. After fighting off the monsters, we see 2 strangers watch over Takeru. Oh yeah, one more thing Sennin forgot to mention. Takeru's main mission is to collect the 15 Eyecons, but he only has 99 days, or else he's gonna stay dead. This is one of my favorite opening episodes ever. It has pretty much everything I love in first episodes. A good amount of time with our cast, some interesting background setup, a mysterious force that we'll definitely learn more about later on, world building that I'll never shut up about, and best of all, the action is f***ing amazing. The fight on the beach with Ghost is one of my favorite action scenes ever, and what makes it even better is the music, which I'll get to soon enough. But first, let's break things down. Our main cast is comprised of Takeru, Akari, and Onari, where the main mission is to collect the 15 historic Eyecons before the ghostly monsters do. These monsters are called Ganma. They come from another world and try to cause despair while collecting the Eyecons too. Along with the Ganma, there are these 2 other mysterious figures. The older man with the briefcase is Sayonji, and the other handsome lad is, well, his katakana says Aran, but it's spelled A-L-A-I-N. At least, I think so. It's a good thing I've been learning Japanese, or else I'd be saying Elaine or Alan this whole time. Although I think Alan is the intention, well, either way, these 2 are up to something evil. Ooh, spooky. That's probably the shortest summary I've ever given for the start of a season, and I'd love to give an excuse, but to me, the status quo is established, and that's basically it. So there's not really much more I can explain other than the toys. Kamen Rider Ghost uses the Ghost Driver, which I just now realized that the names for the henshin devices are kinda lame. Double Driver, O's Driver, Forze Driver, Gaim Driver. Oh wait. Supposedly, the Ghost Driver was inspired by the Typhoon, Kamen Rider Ichighost belt, but aside from having a big circle, I don't really see it. Either way, the Ghost Driver is one of my favorite belts ever. Yeah, it's bulky, but it looks so cool to me. No, really, that's all. It just looks cool. There's a clear coating that looks nice, and it hides all this weird but intricate maze underneath, and I do like the mouth part too. I do have to agree with some who point out that the lever is kind of an eyesore. It's this big orange glob that literally sticks out in a bad way, but I still like it. The eye in the middle of the driver is such a fantastic design to go along with the gimmick. Speaking of which, if loving the driver wasn't enough, I also love the icons. If a gimmick doesn't have electronics, then it should have some kind of playability, and clicking these things is so much fun. The design is deceptively simple, with each click changing the face, and even these look great. Most of the different versions of icons also have shiny stickers, plus the designs for each icon is really creative. Edison's is a light bulb, Beethoven has music notes, Newton has an apple with an arrow pointing down. These are all very obvious, but they look great both as a symbol and as part of the actual suit. Okay, look, I'm basically 5 years old, shiny, colorful toy go click. But what's a gimmick without context? History was my favorite subject in school, so having a toy line focusing on real-life history was one of my dream concepts. Well, real life to an extent. While Robin Hood debatably never existed in real life, he's still considered a historic icon. There's also a snippet in the design doc saying that Robin Hood does exist in universe, which leads to more questions for me, but I'll just say that it's all Decade's fault. It should be obvious that these historical figures were chosen by their marketability and name recognition. You can tell they were chosen by name because Thomas Edison has an icon over Nikola Tesla. But anyway, if the belt gimmicks and history aspects aren't enough for me to love, this season also has fantastic jingles.
Kamen! Musashi! Keto Tsubata Chokengo! Edison! Robin Hood! Hello, Moride Ao! Newton! Ringo Garaka! Kikiyose Maka! Kaigan! Billy the Kid! Beethoven! 曲名運命じゃじゃじゃじゃ弁慶兄貴ムキムキに大立ちツタンカーメンピラミッドは三角 OK の四角信長
I much prefer the special previews way of just announcing the name with no extra jingle added. I don't know, I kind of want to see that again. Something simple like doubles, a single name with no quirky sound effect to accompany it. However, the jingles are super catchy. And I'd even say that this should be the standard set for jingles since they're short and not intrusive to any of the action. Wizard. As for the ghost suits, again, these are gorgeous. Ghost Odadamashi, his base form, has been one of my favorite suits for the longest time. Orange and black are a fantastic combination, more so for a spooky ghost. Then add a unique pantless design to a hoodie and it comes out great. For some reason, I like when regular human clothes are put on top of another humanoid form. Even the naked looking form without the parka looks pretty cool to me. Not to mention how the suit lights up, which isn't done very often, but when it does, it steals the scene. I think the only thing I don't like on the suit is the horn that sticks out on the forehead, but that's just an extremely minor nitpick. I really do love the ghost suits. The other forms are great too. Like I brought up with the icons, the logos for each historic figure go along with who they're based on. Same with the hoodies. It's the little details like a feather on Robin Hood's hood or a cute hat for Billy the Kid. The hoodies are also sentient, I think. These parka ghosts literally embody the souls of historic figures, so there are times where they act on their own and receive full bodies, as well as take over other bodies. Either way, they're great, and official ghost hoodies were sold at one point. A cute detail is that sometimes these trivia pieces about the figures pop up at the corner of the screen, explaining what they're known for. Those aren't the only designs I like, since I think even the Ganma look great. The mooks are probably some of the most basic we've had in the franchise, aside from Shocker, but that only works in their favor. In a way, the Ganma mooks are actually kinda cute. Then add a more detailed parka on top of their base suit and you get some really cool and creative monsters. I also like that when Takeru defeats them, the parka flies off leaving behind the mook. Which brings me to gush even more and say Ghost is one of the most visually pleasing seasons to me. As if the Musashi fight in episode 1 wasn't enough, there are much more iconic scenes that I love to see in clip compilations. I think Kamen Rider Fourze was the most distracting when it came to its use of CGI, though seasons after got a bit better with the action. Wizard and Gaim especially showed that fight choreography can still be great, no matter how much extra clothing there is, or no matter how bulky a suit is. I'd say Ghost has some of the best use of CGI combined with his action, as a lot of it is used to emphasize, well, Ghost. But wait, there's more. This is one of my favorite openings ever. We Think Therefore We Are by Kishidan. You might have heard of them in a couple of their songs before. One Night Carnival is one of their biggest hits and has appeared in several video games. They've also had an ending theme for Naruto Shippuden. On top of that, they're known for having a both local style on stage. If it wasn't already obvious, I actually do like the band outside of the show, so having them perform a song for Kamen Rider just... oh man, I can't state enough how much I love this song. I know this is a weird connotation to have, but it does remind me of an anime opening. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fun energy that makes me think of Gurren Lagann or something. Plus, there's the vocals, the great instruments that remind me of my garage rock days, the super catchy chorus, and the lyrics. If you haven't already, I highly recommend reading up the lyrics for the song because it captures the essence of Ghost perfectly. There's also this part that I absolutely can't get enough of. You know what? I think even the Kamen Rider Girls cover of it is amazing too. It's certainly a different vibe, but it's a good vibe that I think holds its own. But that's all I'll say, otherwise I can continue talking about this opening for about another 10 minutes. I will add that the opening has great visuals too. The beginning where Takeru flies down with the Parka Ghost gives me this childlike wonder, and as more icons are introduced, more of them appear in the visuals. This is all fantastic both musically and visually. I've often stated that Wizard and Ghost openings are interchangeably my favorite Rider themes ever, though sometimes Ghost beats that out just by how fun it is. I know there are some who are adamantly against We Think Therefore We Are, but it's one of my favorite songs of all time. And I'm still not done because we also got this iguana boat thing called Captain Ghost. Never mind. So if you couldn't tell, Ghost is mostly about mystical and spiritual themes, which were chosen to be a direct contrast to Kamen Rider Drive being mechanical and technological. Although Ghost and the spirit theme surrounding it was a bit difficult to work with, because the original intention was to make a darker and more mysterious feel similar to Kamen Rider Ichigo's first episode. Ghost can be a scary concept for children, especially when surrounding death, so the overall atmosphere and design were worked to be lighthearted. A unique idea was that the main character was going to die from episode 1 while telling a story about growing up. Chief producer Kazuhiro Takahashi specifically wanted Takeru's age to be between a child and an adolescent, hence just turning 18 in episode 1. So far, the show has done a good job portraying Takeru as someone who just entered this adult world, since he's a bit naive but good-hearted, to an admittedly cheesy extent. There were 3 times in my notes where I wrote, Takeru hugs them, cause that's kind of how problems are solved. Sawa from Build steals riches and has a tragic backstory? Give her a hug. Some guy is delusional about continuing Nobunaga's legacy? Give him a hug. A pianist plans to end a life? Give him a hug.
Nice advice!
I know, there's more context that leads up to those points, but the context is usually just beating up the Ganma, telling these people it'll be okay, and then giving them a hug. Again, cheesy, but I do get it. The moments are supposed to be heartwarming since these people needed help, and some reassurance that it really will be okay. There's no need to lash out and make part of the city float in the air. It'll be okay. Oh wait, that was the episode where Takeru remembers he has a Newton icon. There's some weird timeline inconsistencies where Ghost shows up in Drive's movie and final episode, despite Takeru's adventure officially starting in October, so...
And now, here I am, getting crushed by friendship. Yurison, help! I regret everything! Friendship never solved anything, and I really wish I gave that nice detective man a kiss!
Hey, cuz, I think you gotta die.
Oh yeah.
It's always the Blue Riders, isn't it? Speaking of which, maybe you notice a certain Blue Rider in the clips. At one point, this mysterious rider steals a Nobunaga icon. Aside from Takeru collecting the icons, Takeru and friends get called on to solve paranormal activities, and the other rider has been making quick appearances. We find out he's called Kamen Rider Specter in episode 4, and Takeru clashes with him in episode 5. Soon after, Akari remembers seeing Takeru spar with a boy named Makoto when they were young, and then he went missing for 10 years. Oh look, there he is.
Specter!
皆さんお気づきの通り横幅がそうなんですよ。
誠の変身ポーズはね、横幅がね、取っちゃうんで。
こう2人で並んだ時こう来られちゃったらね。
こう来るからね。
来たらもう長い、手足も長いし。
My compliments towards Ghost are the same for Kamen Rider Specter, now with a really cool shade of blue. However, I actually like the horns on him. They fit better than Ghost's single horn. Is it just me, or is Specter's mouth halfway from doing the uwu face? Anyway, Makoto is associated with Aran and Saionji, though he wants to collect the icons for himself. Makoto has his own reason, that being his sister, Kanan. We get some exposition that Saionji worked with Ryu Takeru as ghost hunters and knew of Makoto's disappearance 10 years ago, where Makoto and Kanan were trapped in the Ganma world. Kanan's body couldn't handle the other world, so she became a marketable toy. Now Makoto is after the 15 icons to bring her back. Makoto tries to explain that Ryu's experiments weren't what they expected, to which Takeru is like, oh hey, it's Makoto. I should probably bring up that I know Makoto's name is pronounced more like Makoto, but I'm more used to saying Makoto cause of Danganronpa.
Simply put, he's Makoto Naegi, who's known for being a cutie patootie!
I know that's weird, but I needed a line break cause now it's time for... EQ Icon Contention, Quick Wit Battle, the Super Mega Ultra Special Awesome Hyper Battle Special featuring Takeru from the Kamen Rider series. Here we have Takeru and friends solve riddles just like the real life Ikkyu.
おかしなやつが出てきたもんだ。はい、おなりさん。マイコさん好きです。
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you. Next, we have EQ Intimacy, Awaken My Quick Wit Power, featuring Ruka Matsuda before she became Poppy from the Kamen Rider series. She's here to test Takeru's quick wit because she's part of a trivia organization or something, I don't know. And this is the special where Takeru uses the EQ icon. Yeah, not in the previous part where you'd expect him to use it, but we also have Makoto using Pythagoras. As always, these are okay. Though I don't see why it needed to be a two-part special. It's not part of the main show. I think they're hyper battle videos, but if I ever watch Ghost again, then I'll definitely skip them. I don't know, I guess they just weren't entertaining enough for me. Yeah, Ruka Matsuda is great and honestly steals the show, though she's not here much, so...
座っているのに空にあるものって何？星座。正解。しないで。俺に任せて。さすがタケル殿。答えが分かったのですか。
Back to the main show, a man named Javert, I'm just gonna say Jabel, arrives from the Ganma world, where we find out that Aran is royalty, specifically a prince, and that's it. Days are running out. Makoto confronts Takeru for the last of the icons, but Akari wants Takeru to live.
じゃあ、カノンは消えてもいいのか?
Ouch. Takeru hesitantly fights Makoto when Jabel joins in, allowing Saionji to take off with all 15 icons. The monolith in the temple's basement is used for the icons ritual. It's finally time. Now with all these icons together, a wish can be made. All those days spent, all the people met, all the tragedies experienced will come to an Saionji dies. And Sennin says it's because he didn't have a ghost driver. Now Takeru is next in line to make a wish, just cuz, I guess. And Makoto also gets some last minute regrets. Okay then. Next we see Takeru holding onto Kamen, breaking her Eyecon vessel. Now Takeru and Makoto fight Jabel side by side. After a high five they've done since they were kids, Makoto and Kamen say goodbye to Takeru. This seems like such a great ending, left ambiguous about Takeru's fate, while also giving a happy ending to his best friend Makoto. I should also mention that this is only episode 11.
My name's Tekuji Takeru, and I was killed by a Ganma on my 18th birthday. I wanna be Spider-Man!
In the city, we see Tomari Shinosuke not willing to take a case for the police. He's too busy with the ring. His captain informs Shinosuke and Kiriko about paranormal activity, which leads them to the temple. Go arrives with another belt for Shinosuke, so all of our riders transform, which means we've reached the crossover for this season. Kamen Rider X Kamen Rider Ghost and Drive Super Movie War Genesis. Okay, that's a pretty cool title. One of the main aspects about this crossover is that it's not told in parts like previous movies. Rather, our riders interact nearly from the start all the way to the end. This already has some neat ideas and includes some great character bits for basically everyone. There's a lot to love. Shinosuke's new form, awesome backstory for our young Takeru, great character for Shinosuke, Mr. Belt being in a bush for some reason, the Roidmu generals returning for 5 minutes, and time travel. What? Okay, so time travel has been done in Kamen Rider before, I shouldn't be surprised. So why does Ryu die in a different way here than in the main show? Producer Takahashi said that the plan was to keep the original scenes, but once that fell through, the in-universe explanation is that it takes place in an alternate timeline, which I kinda get, but why? Anyway, Go and Makoto go to fight the revived Roimudes, plus Chase is here too, but a Da Vinci Ganma's T-posing design is too powerful for them. Not for the captain though. Then he dies? Is this a joke? What's going on? Okay. And this particular scene goes on for a long time. At the end, the writers transform together with another admittedly hilarious scene, plus some also admittedly cool civilian fights. Takeru gets the Tosan Damashi, and Mr. Belt wishes Shinosuke a happy marriage with Kiriko.
Congratulations! Happy marriage!
I don't think I like this movie. It was just all over the place, and while I don't mind time travel plots, this one didn't get the flow right. Yes, it was great to see the Drive cast again, or rather, Shinosuke, since he's the only one with any sizable amount of screen time. Everyone else felt like they were there for contractual obligations. The Roidmu generals were thrown aside, Chase gets a half-assed goodbye, and the less I say about the Ghost cast the better. I thought I enjoyed this movie a long time ago. Now I guess I enjoy a couple of scenes and the ending theme, Hajimari no Hi. Overall, this movie also felt amateurish, almost like it was someone's first draft with all the conveniences solving basically every problem. Actually, who wrote this movie? Makoto Hayashi? Who? They were a writer for Tokyo PR Woman and this movie. What the fuck? In episode 12, Takeru decides to spend the rest of his days with his friends now that he exhausted the only wish he had. He tries to make Onari and Akari happy, but now it's time to go. Then, out of nowhere, Ryu encourages Takeru not to give up, so he decides not to give up and receives a new icon, transforming into Tokan Boost. Sennin explains that Takeru was given another 99 days to search for 15 more Eyecons, but this is his last chance. 99 more days. 99 more days. Second verse, same as the first, except now Takeru and Makoto team up against Prince Aran. They also meet a takoyaki vendor named Fumi. She's absolutely adorable. Just like before, Takeru and Makoto find the Eyecons through mostly episodic stretches. That's one of the ugliest color combinations I've ever seen. Okay, I actually like that Houdini was chosen as an icon. Producer Takahashi originally wanted only male historical figures since the show is targeted towards boys. But he later thought it was strange there were no female figures, so now we have Himiko. I only know her from the Tomb Raider reboot. Later on, a Green Rider appears. Ooh, who could this be? Another friend of Takeru that disappeared 15 years ago? Maybe a new character? Nope, it's Aran.
Yes, sir. Loading. Henshin. Tengan. Nekurom. Mega Uru-O.
He's Kamen Rider Necrom, who looks really cool and has certain abilities that are only used once.
Tengan. Grim. Mega Uru-Ode. Fighting Pen.
The Brothers Grimm is another interesting choice.
Sanzo. Mega Uru-Ode.
And a Journey to the West reference? Alright, Ghost, I can't get that mad at you. So we're also introduced to Igor, a Ganma scientist, I think? Well, he's evil and wants to exterminate humanity. Oh look, an episode where Newton gets jealous of Himiko. Huh? The episode after that, Aran says that he himself is jealous of friendship. We then get introduced to another character, Aran's brother Prince Adel. No rolling in the deep for him because he tells Igor to continue doing evil things. We again get introduced to yet another character named Kyubi, an artist Ganma who only wants to draw. Aw, how adorable. Takeru wants to make friends with this Ganma, so Benkei, a historical figure and icon from an earlier episode, is proud of Takeru for sticking with friendship. You're not more tired of characters, right? How about Magistrate Edith, an older man from the Ganma world that looks just like Sennin. Whoa, where's the mystery in that? There's Emperor Adonis, who gets killed by Adele almost as quickly as he's introduced. I almost forgot about Princess Alia, cause the show sure will. Alright, is that everyone? No secret uncle that disappeared 20 years ago? No more unneeded comic relief? Any more brand new toys that are gonna come to life and talk to us through the TV screen? Oh, it's Jewel Eagle.
俺は天口タケル。私は14歳の誕生日にガマに殺されました。
Onari and Akari see footage of a monster in the city. Takeru and Makoto go out to stop it when they meet with a stranger in white named Flay. Oh wait, there are two of them. And they tell Takeru to summon Kamen Rider Drive. Kamen Rider Ghost marks the franchise's 45th anniversary, so we're given a couple of specials. The first being the Legendary Rider Souls miniseries. Each episode has Takeru and Makoto gain the powers of legendary riders. And I actually like these a lot. For one, they're short, only about 5 minutes each. For two, it's really cool to see these powers used like this. And three, man, I just love the suits. The Legend Rider jingles are all the same musically, though the lyrics all have to do with each respective rider. There are only 7 episodes, and the 7th one has a couple of surprises.
Kamen Rider!
Plus, the Ganma uses Alexander the Great. No pun intended, but this is a great mini-series all around. Highly recommend it, especially if you're gonna watch the next Ghost Anniversary special. Kamen Rider Ghost's first 12 episodes, I'd say, were somewhat episodic, or at the very least, they used a civilian/monster of the week formula with an added secondary writer appearing extremely early. Then amidst the formula, we had some story bits about Makoto and the Ganma, so again, not exactly episodic, but not enough story for me to say otherwise. The next 10 episodes after that are very similar, somewhat episodic with a civilian of the week formula and a tertiary writer appearing not too soon after. Again, a bit more story with the Ganma world gets revealed and we're introduced to the Ganma royal family. Emperor Adonis says he created this world for the sake of a utopia, then Adele kills him, like an episode later. Takeru and Makoto investigate the world when Adan gets framed for the Emperor's murder. Takeru also finds a big icon. Meanwhile, Adan learns the true meaning of friendship.
Did someone say friendship?
Friendship sucks.
What did you just f***ing say? I'll f***ing kill you! I'll kill all of you! I'll kill your dogs! I'll kill everyone!
Did someone say random conflict? Cause I'm important now for some reason. Time to kill you now, I guess.
I'll never forgive you and what you did to my only friend. Friendship will strengthen me in the bond I have with my friend. Friendship is the only true winner of this battle.
Let's just give him the upgrade so he can shut up about friendship already. Right, Edison?
With all the powers of the previous icons, Takeru has Grateful Damashi.
You see this? This icon holds the soul of the realist. The Trillis. You know why they call it grateful? You're welcome.
It's an okay suit, and I think Jabel dies for real this time. Rest in peace, Geki Chopper. Now for Adele's evil plan. Clones! They're actually called Godmisers, and Adele wants to use them to make the world in his image. Certainly not the way I expected the world in his image to be, but alright, I guess. It turns out that the Emperor has only been held in captivity. Oh, and he's dead for real. Never mind. Adan also learns more about the true meaning of friendship and joins Takeru. So naturally, it's Makoto's turn to get a power-up.
Alright now, Specter. Welcome.
My name is Specter.
That's what I said, Sylvester. But look here, just because you are dead and orphan, don't mean you can't get no power-up. Now go on, look at here. You're just regular old Specter right now. But with this Eyecon, you'll be a deep Specter.
I would rather die again than go by that horrendous name. Ah! I didn't mean it literally! Deep Specter.
What a great suit. After that, Adan continues to learn about humanity. Fumi gives him a new outfit, but Adan doesn't feel worthy of it. She says she only wants people to be happy. Fumi was once an artist and now sells takoyaki since it brings smiles to faces. She says that one day Adan will find what his heart wants, and he'll listen when the time is right. A bit later, Adan finally realizes what Fumi meant, so he wants to thank her. He runs over with art supplies, while Fumi lays down and doesn't wake up. Producer Takahashi wanted this season to explain the importance of life. Takeru was given a second chance and wishes to live his life to the fullest. Though not everyone is given another chance at life. Fumi's death was just to show that it's a natural part of living. It's sad to see someone pass, but as Adan sees, some people are crying as well as smiling. There are memories to be made when you're alive, and someone will remember those good times. Adan will take these memories and fight for what's right. Oh look, it's Seiji Takaiwa.
I am Seiji Takaiwa, Metal Gear.
And Takeru's dead again. Now he's back with his CGI suit. Then we see the real suit in a dream world. A bit more on that later because now we have our final anniversary special. Takeshi Hongo gets involved with some ruffians, which leads him to protecting Tobei Tachibana's granddaughter, along with getting help from Takeru and Makoto, all while fighting off Nova Shocker, who are trying to revive a general. Taking place of the yearly Tyson movies, we have the movie called Kamen Rider Ichigo, which I usually refer to as Ichighost for obvious reasons. I admit, I think I do like this movie. Like, a lot. And it's kind of because the Ghost cast take a huge backseat to focus on the returning Hiroshi Fujioka as Takeshi Hongo. While the basic story is protecting Tachibana's granddaughter Mayu, a lot of the time is spent just being together. We see Hongo at a regular job, Takeru's kind of fun shenanigans at Mayu's school, the interaction between Hongo and the others. I don't know how to explain it. The movie gives me the same feeling I got from Kamen Rider Hibiki, like a slice-of-life story with lessons that hit close to home. The main writer is Toshiki Inui with a lot of help from Hiroshi Fujioka, who wanted to take on the project after the negative reception from Kamen Rider Tyson. Fujioka's contributions are really obvious since Inui's usual tropes aren't in your face. I'd even say the movie is both subtle and simple, which works well in its favor. One of my favorite aspects is that while the original Shocker still exists, Nova Shocker is a branch of it, and they even butt heads a couple of times. Nova Shocker still wants to take over, but through the economy, and that's very evil of them. Of course, I also can't forget this is called Ichigo Powered Up. I like the suit a lot too. Well, I like basically everything in this movie, and the cherry on top, farewell Takeshi Hongo. Forever. At least until Fujioka decides otherwise.
Orewa Tengoji Takeru! I don't know anymore.
Kamen Rider Ghost is split in 3 parts, with the first being episodes 1 through 12, the next are 13 through 33, and the final part from 34 to 49, which were referred to as seasons. You can definitely tell that something's different between each of these parts. Sure, part 1 and 2 are really similar, but it just feels like something is off. Part 1 was somewhat consistent and told Makoto's story in a relatively straightforward way, while feeding us little info about the Ganma. Then part 2 comes along introducing so many characters and plot threads that it starts to jumble together with no clear end goal other than defeating the bad guy, whoever that is. Now is the time I talk about Ghost as a whole. I know it's a bit too early, but I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, particularly here. This is the second video in the History of Kamen Rider series that I dreaded making. Wizard was mixed with its reception during its airing, but it did see some positive turnaround once more fans got into the franchise. While I thought it was just okay, it did gain a lot of positivity, and I certainly see why. Then there's Kamen Rider Ghost. Please keep in mind, my personal anecdotes should only be taken with a grain of salt, as these are my personal experiences and they can vastly differ from others. Is Ghost an unpopular season? I've seen people say it is, but I've barely seen any direct comments myself. Or at least those who say it's underrated. In fact, I've read more comments say it's overhated than seen any actual hate. I might even say I've seen more positive comments talking about the hate than the hate itself. As for me, hate is a strong word, and I wouldn't say I exactly hate a show. Maybe I'd say it for dramatic comedy, but how can I hate a television show made for children? Actually, how can anyone truly hate any show? Even if it's just an exaggeration, I don't think a strong dislike for an entire 100-hour season is all that warranted. Maybe it is. I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to me. For example, I really don't like Kamen Rider Kiva, and I've jokingly said I hated it, but truly, it's fine, I guess. I certainly understand why others may enjoy it, though it's not like I lose sleep thinking about a chained-up vampire suit and a talking CGI bat. Then some pressure comes in when viewers eagerly await my opinion, and in all honesty, it kind of gets to me, to the point where I even considered not sharing my thoughts on the show. Though if I don't talk about certain aspects, including my, review of the season, then what's the point? I'm not here to validate one side or the other. It's why I hammer in the point to watch the show yourself and see if you enjoy it with or without me having to say a season is worth watching. Every season is worth watching. It's up to you if you want to watch it at all. All toku is good. Even Kamen Rider Ghost. But I do feel the need to share my own personal thoughts, as I've always have ever since the very first video. There are three main aspects that carry a season for me: action, story, and characters. There are two things that make me dislike a season: if it's either generally inconsistent or boring. With all of these personal ideas combined, I think that Kamen Rider Ghost is one of the most boring shows I've ever seen. When I hear positives, it's always about how much of a cinnamon roll Takeru is, and yeah, he's nice. His drive to live life to the fullest and teach that lesson to others is such a nice sentiment for children. Onari and Akari are good friends to him. They both actually do quite a lot to help him out and move the plot along too. The other thing I often see brought up as a positive is Aran's story. And again, yes, it's a standout marvel about maturing and acknowledging that doing the right thing can be difficult. But Aran does his best to help out anyway. Plus, I gush so much about the aesthetics. I'll even add that Ghost has my favorite soundtrack in the entire Kamen Rider franchise. There is a lot to love, a lot to enjoy, but to me, what do quick moments matter when I fall asleep and miss most of them? Forget the inconsistencies or the huge cast of characters that don't seem to matter in the grand scheme of things. I can forgive every single negative ever said about this season. You know what? I don't even mind that this show has basically all the tropes I strongly dislike in Kamen Rider in the first place. And I mean it. It has like every single trope I really don't like seeing. And I can still forgive that. I just find Ghost to be super boring. The worst part might be that I can't find the words to explain why. Cause again, the action and visuals are a treat, but the other 20 minutes in an episode make me want to watch paint dry. Characters are certainly moving and doing things, though I can't bring myself to care about why. And honestly, that's all. I can still talk about way more good than the negatives. Yeah, I think there are a lot of characters, but I actually think they range from unnecessary to great. They're just in this season. I don't dislike Takeru as much as others. I'm not really sure what there is to dislike. He's adorable. His care for others and the love of life are respectable, even if a bit over the top and cheesy. I guess he can be considered bland since there really isn't much else to him. Though I'm honestly not expecting high levels of development for main characters at this point. I'll also mention Ghost Mugen. It stayed as my favorite Kamen Rider suit ever for the longest time, until I rewatched Build. Mugen is beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Wizard Infinity, but with a little more color like I wanted. It's shiny, it has a long coat, and the jingles sound so good. Once the SH figure art drops, if it ever does at this point, then I'm definitely buying too. I also think Tokon Boost is okay.
Makoto, why would you do that?
I just wanted to protect the only person I ever loved as a brother. A close brother. Closer than I am to my own sister.
Makoto is one of those great characters that becomes unnecessary pretty quickly. After his sister is revived, he's kinda relegated to the background in fight scenes for a while, which is a shame cause he had a nice arc, albeit a little rushed by the time of the first wish. Plus he wears this really cool blue leather jacket and Deep Specter is such a great suit that I can forgive the rest. He does get a bit more story relevance when it comes to Aran, and forcefully becomes his friend, even getting a Specter Necrom combo form. Once the Ganmeizers are introduced, Makoto gets another adversary in the form of another Makoto. Lame. There was one plan for Makoto to be taken by the Ganmeizers instead of having a copy, but Fukuda decided against it cause it would have been too similar to Go from Kamen Rider Drive. Not that I see the resemblance. Copy Makoto was also going to appear much earlier to balance out the power creep that Necrom was getting, and then immediately drops. I think Makoto is the character with the best ideas but the poorest execution to me. Oh well, I do like him. I just wish there was more done with him in the main show. Yes, Aran is the best part of Ghost. He also has a miniseries explaining his backstory that didn't make it into the season. Moving on. Onari and Akari are good. Akari especially deserves more credit, since she does so much to help Takeru on his quest. At first she's reluctant to accept anything paranormal, and then invents technology to help him out, not counting the other marketable toys since those were given by Sennin. Akari herself is what I think the standard should be for a writer girl, right next to Kiriko from Drive, as Akari is not only helpful, but she's there for Takeru as a friend, being the one to comfort him and not expecting anything in return. While I can't say that much about Onari, I still think he's great too, also being a friend to Takeru. Onari is basically the head of their paranormal investigations and has some standout moments. Onari is played by Takayuki Yanagi, who identifies as non-binary, which is awesome. I like seeing more representation. Every other character aside from our core main cast are just there, and I feel like that even includes the villains. Kyubi becomes part of the cast for a bit, then just up and leaves. New Ganma generals make appearances, and now they're gone. Oh look, Jabella's back. Again. The Emperor dies, but not really, but this time for real. Alia is certainly there, and she even becomes a pink Necrom, and not anymore. Who the heck is Igor again? When there are all these bland characters in an already boring show, I feel as if Ghost becomes way too bloated without knowing what it's doing. Much like Wizard, all of these little problems add up to one giant blemish, especially when it has so many amazing ideas. Episode 6 is one of my favorite episodes ever, not just in Ghost, in the entire franchise. It focuses on a pianist who's walking down a dark path, saying musicians are only recognized after they pass. Takeru says that Beethoven once considered doing the same after losing his hearing, but went on to create everlasting music. It's a great message not to give up when things seem bleak, but the episode in general conveys so much emotion and uses fantastic artistic design to truly make this message one to be heard. Once the Ganma appears, the episode goes silent. And I mean literally, there is no sound aside from the Ganma, and it is amazing, being probably one of the most creative episodes ever. Then there's a visual spectacle of the Beethoven icon on top of it, and again, this is just an 11 out of 10 episode for me. Episode 14 is another standout story with the father and son drifting away, but Takeru helps them understand each other. It's normal for even family not to be as close as they once were, though that can be fixed with enough time and love. The father and son work together to fix a satellite where we get this gorgeous shot of Ghost in space. I didn't even get to the movie, which I enjoyed quite a lot. Kamen Rider Ghost, the 100 icons in Ghost's fateful moment. Takeru and friends enter a mysterious world filled with historical figures, but Takeru is after Kamen Rider Dark Ghost. To make things worse, Makoto finds his own father, who's Kamen Rider Zero Specter. Our special transformations here come in the form of Dark Ghost Napoleon Damashi, Ghost Darwin Damashi, and Kamen Rider Extremer. A neat trivia bit is that there was a contest to create up to 100 icons for this movie. To be perfectly honest, I don't remember the story that much, but I do remember the fantastic and most gorgeous visuals to grace a Kamen Rider movie. Oh man, just look at those colors. The dark scenery works so well. I'll never forget these amazing backgrounds. While a funny line out of context, it's actually sad once you think about it. Takeru hasn't been able to eat ever since he became a ghost. He's lost a lot of his humanity, but he's still trying his best while hiding his pain. Oh look, there's Kishidan, who also performed the ending song, Abayo. But they're not the only cameo we get. Real quick, Ghost has a special 50th episode where the only winner also makes another cameo.
He's just standing there, menacingly! Guys, help!
Man, and I thought Hero was weird.
I'm a hero!
Later, nerd.
I hope I see you again, pink guy.
I don't.
I know my enjoyment for this movie is a bit shallow, but hey, I like what I like. Oh yeah, you want to know the ending, right? Adele is defeated. A random big bad called the Great Eye is defeated too. Sennin was just Edith in disguise. We get a cameo from God. Takeru gets revived by Flay. The opening is recreated, which is actually kind of neat. The bad guys are revived to be good, and Unison turns out to be a cat. Woohoo, it's over. There you go. Thank you so much, Toei. 2 years later, Akari and Igor are doing science things like making chemistry with each other. Jabel becomes kind of like a mentor to Takeru. Onari becomes a private paranormal investigator, and Makoto looks into the grave of his own father. Not everything can have a happy ending, as Makoto faces a new adversary named Danton, who wants to save the world by having humans live with the Ganma. To make things weirder, Danton turns out to be Makoto's father. Now Makoto is stuck between siding with his father or defeating him to protect Earth. Takeru also falls in love with this girl named Chloe. How cute. This is the V-Cinema Ghost Rebirth Kamen Rider Specter. I used to think this was one of the worst Rider movies I've seen. Now I think it's one of my favorites. Not for any good reason, I just really like Makoto and the special transformations we get. Adan tries to stop Makoto from siding with Danton, where we get this Oscar-worthy scene of Adan saying he's Makoto's friend, rounding out his arc for good, and even getting the literal power of friendship with Yujo Burst. That's such a cool jingle. Makoto also gets his own ending arc, fully accepting all the sins he's committed ever since his disappearance 12 years ago. Now he's going to bear all of his own and Danson's sins by summoning a new icon, transforming into Sin Specter. It's so f***ing cool. Yeah, the story and writing are a bit messy. I'd even say the movie is a little boring too, but I think this shows a lot of heart. As always, the ending theme is one of my favorites cause Ghost has some of the best music. This isn't the last time we see of Takeru and friends, as they even make appearances in the Reiwa era, but those are stories for another day. To me, Kamen Rider Ghost is kind of a tragic story. It has a lot of great ideas, but the execution was done so poorly, and there were even more ideas that had to be cut due to budget restraints. And oh boy, did this show have a tight budget. Most of the episodes were planned to be standalone, rather than go the 2-episode structure route. Plus, everyone was on a tight schedule. These restraints made even worse when talking about the production troubles. Takeru Fukuda was the main writer for Ghost, and he had plenty of ideas such as mixing comedy and drama to make a somewhat lighthearted series revolving around life. But he only got around to writing about 5 episodes before leaving to work on the movie. Mori Nobuhiro and Keiichi Hasegawa were left to pick up everything else. But even then, the work wasn't very well divided, especially when Fukuda barely had any time to look over the scripts at all. Add to that a producer who left pretty early on and that most of the production crew were new people. You can see that disaster was just waiting to happen. Then to make things even worse, Amazon Japan, with the pitch from Shinichiro Shirakura, wanted to make their own season of Kamen Rider, so where else would they get the budget? The manufacturers that made the suits were told to focus on the other project first, which is why you can see a lot of reuse, and it explains why the Mugen suit was CGI at first too. There are way too many factors to ask what would have happened if one of these things went right. I wouldn't want to think about hypotheticals with so much going into the show as it is. I'm a little sad that everyone were trying to work with what they had, but I'm also impressed that Ghost is still, well, Ghost. Despite the issues, people really do like this season. It inspires others to live life and burn bright. I remember seeing a Japanese article about Kamen Rider Ghost making children in hospitals really happy, and that's exactly what Kamen Rider should bring. Happiness. I'm just some adult on the internet who thinks a television show is boring, and that shouldn't matter. As long as people enjoy Kamen Rider, then that should be enough. I've met others who say that Ghost is their favorite season, and I don't think any less of them. No one should bring someone else down for liking a show. Again, there can be exaggerations and room for debate, but at the end of the day, Kamen Rider Ghost is a good show. If this is the lowest the bar goes, then Kamen Rider is pretty good too. For now, Ghost is certainly not the best to me, but it is to someone else. With all that being said, join me next time when we enter the game and level up with Kamen Rider X-Aid.
Great! Now we can finally end this show! Super Mega Ultimate Friendship Kick of Friendship!
Whatever.
Man, I wish I died. Let's give one more cheer for our true hero, Spider-Man!